Welcome to BodyHack and Build a Better You, the podcast where we unlock the secret to living a longer, healthier life and create a bloom zone in our life and within our family. I'm your host, Michaela Morell, and I'm here to provide you with the tools and knowledge to empower you to build a better you, one essential building block at a time. Can you actually reverse aging? In this episode, I share my best body hacking strategies for looking and feeling younger than ever, with nutrition and all natural remedies. From building strong habits and muscles to balancing omega-3s, eating the right fats, optimizing collagen, and understanding insulin responses. I break down the ways to stay youthful from inside out. Plus, I reveal my personal skincare and nutrition routines that have helped me turn back the clock. Ready to age in reverse? Let's go! I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer in the show notes, and I want to remind you to always consult your healthcare provider if you plan to make any dietary changes. So, body hacking our age. Well, 5 years ago, I did some big changes to my regime in health. And it is fascinating now because looking back at pictures, I posted in my Facebook group the other day, Omega-3 We Share Experiences. But I posted their pictures from 10 years ago, and I think it was around 5 or 6 years ago. And it's fascinating because I'm actually looking younger today than I did 10 years ago. I was, of course, a very typical parent to small children, very sleep deprived, and I was also struggling with so many health issues. If you want to listen to my health issues I was struggling with, you can go back to episode 1. But it's fascinating now to look at what have happened the past 5 years. I have changed a lot of things in my routine. Like I did do supplementation before. I did try to take care of my skin. I did do a lot of things, but as the years have passed, I've learned more and more information and I have changed different things into my regime. And if you know me, I like to go with all natural. I want to be able to use things that I find in my pantry. I want to stay off supplementation as much as possible, but I also understand when it is almost impossible to get enough through our diet and what we need to supplement with in order to achieve optimal levels of the vitamins, minerals, proteins, and fatty acids that we need. But the reason why I'm talking about this today is because yesterday I have played padel lately. Like it was my third time playing padel. And it was so funny because the people I ended up playing with, they were so happy that I was there. And after the game, they started talking with me and was like, "It's so good that you're here. You need to keep on playing. We need younger people here because the average age of people here is so old." And then they were looking at each other and was like, "Yeah, it's probably 35 to 40 years of age." And I was just starting laughing and say, "Well, I will not contributing to that age to go down." And they're like, "Really? How old are you?" I'm like, "I'm 38." So it was just so fun, but it also gives me happiness to see that people that doesn't know me at all, they see me, they see my skin, they see how my body is responding to the workouts I'm doing, because everything is habits. And if we want to look as young as possible, there is a couple of things that is crucial. And the number one thing I want to talk today about is muscles, because muscles is what you're going to struggle with the most as you're aging. Because our muscle mass just, it's not we're not getting it so easy anymore. When we're young, we are building muscles, good. And then we hit a age, it's around in our 20s, where we're just going to start decreasing unless we start, keep on building it. And it's actually that most people that dies when they're old, they die because the lack of muscles, because they fall, they break things, and their body is not doing good because their lack of muscle, so that because of that, it cannot move as much. Because of that, it can't have as good of detox effect, making our lymph move around by moving and making the air come in deep into our lungs. And there are so many things that goes to having a good physique that if you want to age gracefully, it is so important to keep your muscle mass. So you need to plan in to do enough of strength training, resistant training. So that is my tip number one if you want to age gracefully and biohack your aging process. The second thing I want to mention is you need to get in omega balance. What is omega balance? Well, every single cell in our body is built up with a cell membrane. And that cell membrane is built up with fatty lipids, which means basically fat. And this fat that is surrounding our cell membrane, they're making the cell having the composition it needs to if we're building it the right way. But a cell that is perfect, they should look like jellyfishes. They're floating around, they're permeable, they're soft, they are not so easily destroyed. They are just a good functioning cell, letting nutrition get into the cell so that we can create the energy that we need, and then letting also the toxins and the waste products from the ATP production to get out. So that is a cell. But what is happening today is that we have no understanding of what type of composition should the cell membrane actually have. And the cell membrane, they're built up with pro-inflammatory building blocks and anti-inflammatory building blocks. So every single cell of our body have these or should have these anti versus pro-inflammatory building blocks in the cell membrane. What we can see is when we're doing testing of this and we're measuring how many pro versus anti-inflammatory building blocks, we can see that when we're having too many pro, we're also having low-grade chronic inflammation. And low-grade chronic inflammation, that is gonna affect your body negatively. Most health issues starts with low-grade chronic inflammation. Also, aging processes speeds up with low-grade chronic inflammation. So I'm not sure if you're sitting and watching me on YouTube or if you're just listening in, but if you're sitting and watching me on YouTube, right now I have removed all the filters from Zoom, the Zoom app. My skin and my appearance that you see, it is 100% natural. I do not have any makeup except for some eyeliner and some mascara on. I haven't put anything on my skin. I've done my morning routine, and I'm going to share my morning routine with you guys if you're interested. But that is all I've done to my face today because I wanted to record this with a natural face. Anyway, so in the past 5 years, I have measured my omega balance in my cell membranes and have corrected it, which means that I have taken what I used to have before. I used to have 9 times too many pro-inflammatory building blocks compared to anti-inflammatory building blocks. So I had more inflammation than I needed, and that is not good long term. So correcting that, I have felt a big change in my skin as well. The elasticity have improved a lot. It have also made me not need as much moisturizer. I'm not feeling dry or flaky anywhere, and not anywhere on my body. And I have been living in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's desert and it's so dry, there's no humidity at all. And even after showering every day and being in the pool with the kids, I do not need to put on moisturizer after. And if I ever do that, I just use some extra virgin olive oil that is very rich in polyphenols. But that is the only thing I'm using on my skin, but I hardly never do it because I don't need it. My skin looks amazing. It feels soft, even with the dry weather and showering. So when that is something major I've done for my health that I can see a big improvement of, and also implementing a higher ratio of meat and fat on my plate. We need to have a lot of collagen. We need to have a lot of protein. We need to have a lot of fats from the animal kingdom. If we want to age gracefully, of course, you can probably age gracefully another way too. I just know that this is really, really, it just works. It works really good if we're wanting to have a youthful appearance, because in our cells, we also have proteins that builds up the cells. We also have cholesterol that are building up our cells, and we need that. We also are in need of collagen to have our skin not lose the elasticity. We are actually Collagen is something we're producing naturally when we are younger, but about age 21, we're decreasing that collagen levels. So if we're not able to produce it, and if we want to look youthful, we need to get it through our diet. And some people also like to supplement with it. I have started supplementing with a very high grade collagen, that is collagen 1 and 3. But it's also added a bunch of other really good nutrients with it that helps boost the collagen so it just functions even better. So I would love for you guys to keep on following my journey. I have just changed out my collagen supplementation. And look back 5 years from now, you can see my YouTube channel and you can see how my aging is going if you're listening to this podcast episode 5 years into the future. But I really, really live the way I'm preaching. And I am very against things that are not natural. I don't want to put toxins into my body. So, and I also would love to encourage women that we don't need it. We don't need the shots. We don't need it if we're doing it the right way. Of course, if you're cheating with eating fried food every week, and if you're cheating with other things, of course, you might need it. But there are ways where we can stay youthful, all natural. And that is what I want to stand for. And that's what I want to encourage people to aim for. Plus, there are so many pretty people out there that are aging so gracefully, that are, can I use the word hot? So I'm not afraid of the aging process, because as long as you have a good attitude and you keep a smile on your face, and those lines are from happy, smiling, smiling wrinkles versus bitter and sad wrinkles, you're going to be able to be contagious and having that energy that people are attracted to anyway. And that is what makes people beautiful, I feel like. There are so many people, no, regardless of their age, that is just super pretty people. Anyway, so if we want to body hack our aging process, we need to have the workouts, the resistant training, building muscles. Of course, it's good with some cardio, but we don't have to overdo cardio. But doing some walks, and especially brisk walks where we're getting lots of energy flowing around our body, that is really good. And then our omega levels in our cells are super important. And then understand insulin resistance and understand how our body's reacting, especially women, how our body's reacting to sugar spikes, and try to avoid them as much as possible. Because when we are eating a diet that is filled with carbs, those carbs are gonna be the reason why we start developing a bunch of cellulite. So I also want you to understand that if we want to look fit, our fitness level is about 90% nutrition and 10% workout. That is how we're looking. Of course, you will have a stronger body, you will have be able to run far if you do 90% workout. But if you're still only eating crap, your body will not look amazing. You can be strong, but it will not look amazing, will not feel amazing. So in order for us to have a body that looks fit, that is also healthy and not just looking fit, we need to think of our health as 90% nutrition, 10% of the workout and activity levels. And a lot of people are frustrated when they're trying to lose weight, for example, because they think that as long as I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week or 7 days a week, I'm going to start seeing results. And yes, you will see some results, but you're not going to start slimming down unless you are understanding the nutritional part of it. And a lot of people are under eating. So we cannot be afraid of eating. We just have to choose the right things of eating. Because if we're not eating enough, the body will just go into a state of we're starving, we cannot release any energy, we need to preserve it, and we need to store everything that comes into the mouth as fat. So we can have the extra fat there for the times that are ahead of us, because most likely it's even gonna get even worse before it gets better. So a lot of us are living with a body that is insulin resistant, which means that no matter what we're putting in our body, the insulin is not going to attach to hormone receptors. And that is also happening because we're having the wrong omega balance in our cell membranes. But when we are struggling with that, everything we're eating is going to go directly into fat storage, and we're not going to use it as energy. The insulin resistance can happen due to the inflammation part of it. It can also be due to signal problems because we are in starvation mode. So a few hormonal issues that can cause, especially women, but all genders, to struggle with the loss of fat if we're wanting to get a strong and fit body is insulin resistance. I've already talked about that. That is more likely to happen if we're having an omega balance that are not balanced, but is very off balance, that have way too many of the pro-inflammatory building blocks. And the other hormonal issues is thyroid hormones not functioning. So in order for you to body hack that, you have to body hack your thyroid. I'm going to do another episode on just that. The third hormone that can cause a lot of issues is the cortisol. So if you're having too much stress in your life, you're going to struggle with losing the weight because the body is still in the fight and flight mode. It's still in the starvation mode. It's still in the we have to preserve whatever we can mode. So if you're struggling with too high stress levels, the body will not relax enough to be able to utilize what we have as energy. So that's another thing. So you have to manage your stress levels and you have to manage your sleep pattern. Sleep habits was something I struggled with myself. From the age of 14 till I was 33, I averaged about 4.5 hours a night. And that was including sleeping in on the weekends. It was horrible. I do not recommend it, but I do think that that is also a part of why I've been able to reverse my aging so much, because I've been able to sleep so much better for the past 5 years. And yeah. Estrogen imbalances can cause you also to struggle a lot with your hormonal levels. They can cause you to not lose the weight. And then leptin resistance. Leptin resistance, this is a hormone that controls your hunger. And it can be dysfunctional and leading to overeating. And one way to address this is just to add lots of more protein into your diet and also add more healthy fats. So if you do that, you're going to be able to trick your cravings and calm them down a little bit. But there's a lot of different things with hormonal things too that is affecting us. But then also what we're doing to expose ourselves. The more omega-6s we're eating, which is vegetable oils, French fries, even so-called healthy protein bars can be filled of vegetable oils. They can cause you to have too many of the pro-inflammatory building blocks, which is causing, again, more stress on your body, more oxidative stress, it's destroying our body from the inside, basically, and it's causing us to age faster than we need to. So if we're able to control it, then we're also going to be able to age more gracefully. So there is a few of the different things you can do to body hack your aging. And if it's something you are interested about, just reach out. So those are a few things that you can do to body hack your aging process. The last thing I just want to mention is skin routine. I am a very minimalistic person. I love using natural things. I'm avoiding toxic things. And that is something that you should also do. I am hardly ever putting sunscreen on my skin. Hardly ever. The only time I do that is if I know I will be out in the sun all day long and I cannot avoid it. But often I'm just avoiding to be out in the sun when the sun is the strongest. And I'm also covering up my body for a few hours when it is the strongest if we're out all day long. Instead, I'm making sure that my cells can handle the radiation from the sun. And if you're having a balance between the omegas in your cells, it is less likely going to burn. This is very fascinating. I've seen a lot of comments in different Facebook groups because I'm following a lot of different people eating different diets. And I've seen that a lot of carnivore people, when they used to be vegans, and when they used to be vegans, they used to burn so much more easily. And now when they're carnivore, they hardly never burn their skin. And it's because they are building up the cell membranes with a different composition of fats. Because when you are a vegan, you're hardly not eating anything from the animal kingdom. So you're getting a lot of omega-6s because omega-6 is the pro-inflammatory building block, but it's in everything that grows. So in all the fruit, all the veggies, it's omega-6s. So they get a lot of those, but they don't get enough of the anti-inflammatory building blocks. But what's also happening when we're building up our cell membranes with more omega-6s, it becomes more prone for damage. It cannot handle the radiation as good. It's going to be struggling with more with the cell division and so on. So people with a higher imbalance are just more prone for damage, skin issues, cellular issues, and so on. So I'm not saying that you cannot not burn if you're a vegan. I'm just saying the majority of them are not getting enough of the anti-inflammatory building blocks, and we can see that when people are tanning. So if you want to avoid sunscreen, you need to, first of all, just read on to what sunscreen really is. And there are so many natural things you can put on your skin instead. Coconut oil is a natural sunscreen. Raspberry leaf oil, it helps you to not get burned. So you can also create your own sunscreen with zinc and tallow. I am a little bit too lazy to do that, so I'm just avoiding the sun when it is the strongest. And then I spend my outdoor time in the mornings and in the afternoon. And that's how I can get healthy skin that is tan without burning it. So that is another thing to think about. So skincare routine, what do I do? Do you want me to spill it? Well, I'm having extra virgin olive oil that is extra rich in polyphenols, and I take it, a lot of it, and I massage it into my face, and then I have an old towel that we're not going to use. I'm cutting it up into small pieces, and I take the excess of the olive oil and I wipe it off. I use olive oil and I use jojoba oil. So I usually use olive oil in the night, and then I use jojoba oil in the mornings, and I do that cleanse. And other than that, I just have a skin serum that contains beta-1316 that I put on top of it. And that is my routine. That is what I do from the outside. And from the inside, I do a lot. I take care of my body. I do not want to eat processed foods. I am pretty much gluten-free in my diet. And I am making sure I'm on top of my omega intake, of my supplementation regime, and trying to eat as clean and organic as possible. And it have given me the results I have today. So if you're curious about my before pictures, you can find my Facebook group, Omega-3 We Share Experiences, become a member there, and you can see my before and after that I showed a few weeks ago. Anyway, thank you guys for listening in. I'm Michaela. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you want to share this podcast with and copy the link and send it right away. Thanks for playing an important role in the Blue Zone community. And if you want to keep on building a better you, one essential building block at a time, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next episode.